Alright everybody, and welcome back to the Goodie Pantry. So today I'm going to show you how to make broth. I've had this years ever since I was a kid, and it's really good. We just call it broth, but ham broth, Scotch broth. Everybody's got a different name for it, but we'll show you how to do it today. There's your ingredients on the screen. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to comment on the video if you like it, and if you try to make it, let me know how it turned out. And don't forget to hit the bell icon. Here we go. So today I'm going to do a bit different. Because there's so many ingredients, I'm just going to go through them stage by stage. So that was your broth mix, which you can buy in any supermarket. And now I've got my joint of gammon. Now you only need about 500 grams of gammon, and you can buy that, but I'm doing a bigger one because I'm going to use it for sandwiches, salads, and stuff like that. So there we've got our pulses, and what you want to do, just like this, you want to soak them overnight. And then you need to do the same for your gammon. Now the reason you need to soak your gammon overnight is because gammon can be extremely salty. So you soak it overnight, you need to get rid of that excess salt, because it really can ruin a dish if you don't get rid of it. So both have been soaking overnight, so here's my gammon. So now I'm going to put this onto a boil, and I'm going to cook this for an hour and a half. Now I'm using my multi-cooker for this. Absolutely, you can use the pan, it's exactly the same way. However, I do love this machine. It's got loads of different features on it, and I would definitely recommend getting one if anybody hasn't got one. So this is going to go in now, and I'm just going to take the net off because I'm boiling the gammon. I'm not roasting it for a joint. And now I'm going to fill this up with water. So now I'm just going to set this to boil, and I'm going to set it for an hour and a half. So that's been set, and pop the lid on. I'm just going to leave that until it's done. So now I'm going to move on to the vegetables while that's cooking. So here I've got my large leek, I've got a small swede, 2 large carrots, and a bag of baby potatoes. So first off with the leek, so I'm just going to top and tail. Now with the vegetables, I like the vegetables in my broth to be quite chunky. If you like it small, by all means do whichever way you feel is best for you. The only thing to worry about is the amounts, but apart from that, if you want them small diced, absolutely it's fine. So I'm just going to chop all these up now, and once these are done, I'm going to pop them into a bowl at one side. Now on to the carrots. I'm just going to do the same, top and tail, and I'm going to leave the skins on because I like the skins. There's a lot of flavour and there's a lot of nutrients in the skins as well. But if you don't like the skins on, by all means, peel the carrots. So now on to the sweet. So one of the reasons I decided to do the veg this way and prep it on screen is because I know most people do know, but I'm always amazed how many people tell me that they don't know how to prep a sweet. So I'm just going to show you the way I do it, which is the simplest way for me. So just chop it in half, cut it into slices, and then take a knife, and then just peel off the rind. If you're going to do it this way, maybe use a small knife for what I'm using. I'm used to handling knives. So now I've got those peeled, so I'm just going to do the same what I did with the carrots and leeks. I'm just going to chop this up into some chunky chunks. Now onto the potatoes. So I like to use the baby potatoes or new potatoes. Just they hold the shape better. I think they've got more flavour. But if you can use any potato you want, if your preference is potatoes, and especially if you don't like the skins on. Now I'm just cutting these into halves, or if there's some bigger ones, into threes to get them roughly the same size. So there's all my veg together ready. So I'm just going to pop that off to one side. And now we've come back to the ham. So this ham's been cooking now for an hour and a half. And this is now done. So I'm just going to take that out. I'm just going to set that off to cool. And I'm just going to cut a chunk off about 500 grams later on once it's cooled. So now it's time to go back to the soup. So here we've got our pulses that have been soaking overnight. Now, when you do this, it's very important to rinse these thoroughly a good few times to get rid of all the dirt that comes out of them. So I've got this in, I'm going to fill my pot nearly to the top. So whether you use them on these or using a pan, make sure you fill it right to the top, nearly to the top. Now this recipe will do 4 to 6 people easily with generous portions. If that's too much, you can absolutely reduce the amounts by half. So the pulses have cooked now for an hour and a half, exactly the same as the gammon. So now that they're cooked, we're now going to add our vegetables. I'm going to give it a good stir, and then we're going to put the lid back on. So these are going to cook again for another hour. Now I always do the pulses first before the veg, because the pulses take longer to cook than what the veg does. And then I'm just going to add in my 2 chicken stock cubes, and I'm going to set this back away. Now you can use the stock from the ham, absolutely fine. I prefer the flavour of the chicken stock in it, just a preference. So that's alright. So I'm going to pop the lid back on, and I'm going to cook that now for another hour. So while that's cooking, I'm going to start with the gammon. So I've just cut a chunk of this off. It came to about 507 grams. So we got our 500 grams gammon. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to trim it up, because I like to take the fat off, any of the residual fat, what's left on the gammon. If you like the fat, by all means you can keep it in. I just prefer to take it off. So that's done. I'm just going to cut this up again. So I'm just going to do the same thing as I did before with the vegetables, and it's roughly the same size as if you were to buy diced steak or diced chicken or anything from the supermarket. We come back to the soup now. So this has been cooking for an hour. So I'm just going to give this a good stir. Now you can see the colour of the soup starting to change now. And this is where the base of the soup starts to thicken slightly. So we're now going to go in with our gammon. So you've got to put that in, give it a good stir. And then this is going to cook for another 15 to 20 minutes. And then while I do that, we'll make our dumplings. So here in the bowl, I've got 100 grams of suet, and now I'm putting in my self-raising flour. Just going to season this up with some salt. Then I've got about a tablespoon of parsley. And now we're going to mix it together into a dough. Now the water, you don't need a lot of water for this. I've literally only got about 70 millilitres of water. So as you start this, just don't chuck it all in at the start, just do it bit by bit until your dumplings start to form. And then once that's done, you're just going to pop that to one side until our 20 minutes is up. So this has been the 20 minutes. So now again, the colour is starting to change again with the soup. The liquid is starting to get thicker, even more thicker again. So just with a knife, just test your potatoes and your swede that they're cooked. If your potato and swede's cooked, your carrots and your leeks definitely will be. So now we've got our dumplings. So just with a tablespoon, just going to take a bit of the mix and then just plop it in. Now at this point, it doesn't matter where you put it, just drop it in anywhere because dumplings expand. So if you try and place them, it just doesn't work. Just drop them in anywhere. And once they start to cook and they're expanded, we'll then break them up. So that's going to cook now for 15 minutes. And then after the 15 minutes, it'll look like this. So you can see now what I mean about they just expand out. So they always stick together. Sometimes you get a huge dumpling because of that. So just drop them in. And at this point, just start breaking them up. And if some of them create a big dumpling, just cut the dumpling in half. And then just give them a good mix through. So now once you've done that, we're going to pop the lid back on and we're going to cook this for another 10 minutes. So it's been 10 minutes, so now the broth is done. However, what we're going to do, you can eat it straight away if you want. However, I never do. The best way to have broth is always the next day. So I'm going to transfer this into a roasting tray and I'm just going to pop it in the fridge overnight, ready for the next day. So it's now the next day and you can see now why I put it in the fridge overnight. Look how much that has set. It still look quite thin, but this is why you're supposed to have broth the next day. So now we're just going to take a pan and we're going to take some out to heat up. And it's not just to thicken it, leaving it overnight, the flavours enhance, it just becomes a lot tastier, much more flavour by leaving it overnight. So I've got this on now to heat up and then I'm just going to add a splash of hot water because it does go extremely thick broth the next day. And don't worry about the water, there's so much flavour in the broth at this point, you're not going to ruin it. So once this has come to the boil and it's started to heat through, you can see how all the liquids come back out. And now we've got a nice, thick, lovely broth. So then I'm just going to portion this up. And I'm just going to finish that off with a bit of parsley. And at this point is where I would add my own salt and pepper. I never put it in the start, always finish it with it. And then I've just served it up with a bit of my homemade bloom bread. And there it is. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, give it a go. Let me know in the comments how it turned out. If you like the look of that bloomer bread, just search my channel and you can see I've got a lot of different bread recipes. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and to hit the bell icon. And I'll catch you in the next one.